this kind of stuff. So yeah,
Awesome.
here you have some of the questions. I'll probably come up with more later.
Great. Love it, love it, love it. Perfect. Okay. Fantastic. So the first question I can certainly answer. It's going to be difficult for me to go into details because the muscle the muscle activation techniques process is a trademarked process. So I can speak to it like generally, but
Yeah.
just from an intellectual property legality perspective, like I can't dive in detail wise, but I can give like overarching philosophies and kind of where it works in and stuff. I'm more than happy to talk about that. Everything else looks really good.
Okay, sure. Perfect.
Sweet. And are you living in Argentina right now?
Yeah. Always been here.
Awesome. Oh, fantastic. Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
You're from Illinois, right?
Yeah, exactly. Outside of Chicago.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Nice. And
Yep. Yep.
I've seen your LinkedIn. You have like a lot of experience.
Oh, thank you.
um,
It's
I've seen
been
you've
fun.
been a
Yeah.
performance coach and a personal trainer for
Yes, sir.
a lot of time. I always dreamed
Yeah.
of that actually.
Well, right now you're taking the right steps, man. Step one, be
Yeah.
certified for sure. No, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, my in-laws were just recently in Argentina. They went for with their tango dance crew. They
Yeah.
went down and did like a week long or 10-day trip there. They loved it. They thought it was absolutely just I mean, it was a great time. It was beautiful. So it's like, oh, it definitely piqued my interest in going, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I do know some tango,
Nice,
and
right on.
it's really beautiful. Yeah, it's a different
Uh,
experience for sure.
sure, that's awesome.
That's so cool. And by the way, how did you get into, you know, wanting to study and do a personal training or performance
Mm,
coaching?
yeah.
How did you get into it? I was thinking about it
So
myself, and what about
yeah,
you?
so really my experience was kind of similar to yourself through sports. You know, I was a basketball player all growing up. My interest was first and foremost like improving my own performance. And
Yeah,
then I started working with my brother and his friends. I'm like, oh, I really like this kind of training others aspect as well.
yeah,
Also being very intrigued of like, okay, like what things can I do to see a noticeable improvement in how I play, in my athleticism and my performance.
yeah,
And so I trained myself and my brother and his friends all through high school. Once I got into college, I was really big into training myself and my teammates. I played basketball through college. And so then I was training our basketball team. And by the time I was a senior in college, I was training guys on the football team, soccer team, women's soccer
yeah.
team, ultimate frisbee team. So like I was training a whole bunch of teams on campus. And like this is a thing that I want to do. I started doing internships with different sports performance places and personal training places. And then after I graduated college, the first job that I had in Chicago was as a personal trainer. And at that gym, there were two MAT specialists, and they
Yeah.
introduced me to muscle activation techniques. And so then I started going down that avenue. And that really completely transformed my career as far as just like how I started thinking about exercise, the role of muscles in our health and well-being. I started taking courses called resistance training specialist courses, And that really transformed my understanding of like how to create exercise for people. And then from there, I went into graduate school to do a master's program in exercise science. And that really gave me a background in the biochemistry and in physiology and cellular biology of the effects of exercise and how it actually changes us at a cellular level and how it will help to prevent and reverse disease and chronic illness. And so then I was like, okay, this really is a thing, because that was the kind of scientific understanding of everything. And all along the way, I'd gotten the practical application. So from that point forward, I just kind of married the two of like the practical application backed by the science
Yeah.
for using exercise to get healthier.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting because as of myself, where when I started learning, for example, personal training, you always start with the basics, and
Mhm.
I never could really get into um, the chemical level more in depth. Like, for
Mhm.
example,
Sure.
some of the people that I have trained, like super beginners and super, friendly coaching. Um,
Mhm.
some of those times where, like, I mean, I don't really know how to explain like why, for example, stretching before or after
Mhm.
exercise would impact on your performance, on your
Sure.
after workout soreness. And
Mhm.
I think that it's really important for whomever that wants to take a personal training coaching, to
Mhm.
have a coach that understands the different needs that you
Mhm.
might have. Maybe like I saw that your last episode of your podcast was about
Mhm.
being starting on training when you're like 50 or 60,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
No,
that's
thanks so
really
much for checking that
interesting.
out.
No,
Yeah. Thank you.
it's my pleasure. So I was thinking, um, what would you say are some of the differences between starting training yourself and training your body uh,
Mhm.
at 50 or 60 years old, as opposed
Mhm.
to always having been training since you were a kid? Like,
Yeah. Great
how
question.
do you approach that?
Great question. Okay, so I think the first thing that people who are in their 50s and 60s and they're just starting out, they need to understand is that their body will get stronger. Their body will does have the ability to get into better condition. So even if they're like, wow, it's been 10, 20, 30 years or more since I've worked out or I've never worked out, it's not too late to start. So that's the first thing that you have to understand. The other
Yeah,
thing that you have to understand is that if you did exercise when you were younger, maybe you played high school athletics, or you exercised a little bit in your 20s, but you've taken some time off, your body, even though it will progress, it's going to respond differently than it once did, because in your 50s and 60s, your body's ability to tolerate stress from a physical standpoint, it's
yeah,
just going to be lower than it is when you are in your teens and 20s. And so then you need to understand that, okay, like how you go about diving into your workouts. The workouts, the thing that I ask people to think about from a workout perspective is your workouts are not about like trying to burn as many calories as you can during the hour. Today's workout is all about setting you up to come back and work out again tomorrow. And the reason
yeah,
why that's such an important concept is because if you can keep using today's workout to set you up to come back and work out again tomorrow, then you will always have the opportunity and creating the opportunity for yourself to come back and work out again the next day. Now, that does not mean that your workouts need to be easy. In fact, your workouts should be challenging you. The challenge is what's going to create the change. However, you also have to understand that you need to be able to keep coming back and keep doing these things long term. That's how you're really going to get the health benefits, and that's how you're going to get the long term benefits. So understand that yes, your workouts need to be challenging, but they should not be sacrificing your ability to come back and exercise again the next day. And if you can just approach your workouts with that mindset of my workout today is going to set me up to come back and work out again tomorrow, and then you do that again tomorrow and the next day, you're going to be
yeah,
able to keep working out day after day after day. And you're not going to feel that achy soreness feeling that so many of us get caught up into that we think is
yeah,
normal with exercise, because you're not going to be thinking, oh, I need to go all out as hard as I can today. Because in your mind, you're like, well, I need to come back and work out again tomorrow. I need to come back and do this again the next day. And so I need to be ready to be able to do that today. And so that in of itself is just going to stop you from like from over exercising. They, just having
yeah.
that viewing your workouts through that lens, that's a huge step for people.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Hello,
Yeah, you
Dr.
bet.
Din.
Hey, Dr.
Hello,
Din.
how are you? Hi, nice to meet you,
Fantastic.
Charlie, and
Yeah,
thank
you
you
as well.
for joining us and teaching us about such an important part of our health and wellness.
Thank you.
Um,
My pleasure.
Charlie, I'm going to start with you introducing yourself. Like, what do you do, and what is your
Yeah,
business and model, and what are you passionate about? I know what you're passionate about, but how did you
sure.
get to be who you are? If you could tell
Fantastic.
us, so we can, and one other thing that I will do, I first of all, thank you for waiting for me because I had to do some Zoom updates on my laptop for some reason, so it
Sure.
just stopped. But anyway, before I start you out, I'll just ask my executive assistant. Her name is Rocio, and she's also on right now, but I need to ask her how I can broadcast it to our YouTube channels. Is it okay if I broadcast it? Because later
Yeah.
on,
Oh,
I
Already
will
broadcast.
absolutely.
pick it up and do it also, but I wanted to
It's
go on
already
YouTube. Zoom.
doing both.
Oh, we're doing it already? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Then I wanted to go live on TikTok if you don't mind. Listen,
No,
the
that's completely
exercise
fine.
is
That'd be
important,
awesome.
and like I'm not very good at exercising all the time because we're just like that. But
No
you're
worries.
to convince me otherwise.
All right.
I'm
I'm excited.
convinced. It's like all right. So I'm gonna just say that going live with Charlie, and I will just do if at some point I feel
Perfect.
disconnected. It's because I'm just managing some questions. I'm looking up
Sounds
questions.
great.
All right. We are already on. Do you have YouTube? Do you have
Yes.
TikTok? Do you have TikTok?
Yes. Yes.
You do. Which one is your TikTok? Do you go
It's
live on
just my
TikTok?
first and last name at Charlie Cates, Cates.
Okay, so I'll see if I can add you to TikTok live. Maybe I won't be able to add you. How many, I think it requires you to be live on it too.
Oh,
So
okay. I can hop on the
on your,
yeah, I can hop on my phone. My battery may not last too long, but I'll give it a shot.
you do not need
All right, here
to
we go.
hop on it, but you can say, are you able to send a friend join
Oh,
live request?
sure. Let me see. I'm relatively unfamiliar with TikTok, so where'd I go?
Rocio, you can join on the side. Do you have on TikTok? And Rocio knows stuff on TikTok also. So you'll have to double tap the screen so that our live can get into the algorithm.
Okay,
Because
I think I have you. I think, yeah, it says you're live right now, so I think I can tap into the live.
yes.
Oh, yeah, there you are. I see you on my phone as well.
All right, good. So we are live and we'll start joining. Our invite another host. I'll see if I can. I don't know if I can find you here. How do I find you?
I am not
You
sure.
joined it? You joined it? You
Yeah,
joined.
I'm watching you right now.
1 second. Oh, I see you. I don't think I'll be able to invite you because to be able
Okay.
to live with me, you have to have like over 1,000 followers.
Oh,
Any
yeah, no, sorry, not there yet.
Okay, you'll get there. Don't worry. Um, okay,
All
so
right.
what I'll do is that I'll just switch around the thing so people can hear you
Perfect.
here. Let me see. Flip camera. There you go. All right. Okay. So now tell me. So tell me, Charlie, how did you become the person who you are today? So what happened? How did you become passionate about exercising? Like
Yeah.
I am surprised like how people become passionate about exercising. I find
Well,
it like really hard work.
well, thanks so much for asking, Dr. Din. So, when I all growing up, I played basketball. All through elementary school, middle school, high school, and when I was in eighth grade, I started getting into doing plyometrics and different types of sports performance to really help my performance as a basketball player. I thought this is the coolest thing ever because I put in effort over here and I see a result over there. I'm like, this is awesome. So, started off with just me working out by myself, and then my brother started joining. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like I get to work out with somebody. I got to, tell them what to do. I get to help him as well. And so then it turned into, all right, learning how to lift weights and doing, different types of exercises and doing different types of cardio work to all help my performance as a basketball player and also help my brother and help his friends. And so by the time I finished high school, like I was training myself, I was training my brother, I was training all of his friends, and to help us all just get better at basketball. Then once I got into college, I kept training myself, started training more of my teammates. I
How
played
young were you at
basketball.
that point? How young were you at that point?
So at that point, when I started college, I was 18 going on 19.
All right.
Um,
So you're
yeah.
you're working out and you're not only working yourself, you start
Mhm.
training like these kids.
Yep. Exactly. So
Because
start.
you're
Yep.
the so the
Exactly.
other is younger or older?
So my brother was 2 years younger than me, or is
Oh,
2 years
okay.
younger.
He's just
Yep,
got
exactly.
all right.
Yeah. And so so in college then, I kept training myself. I was training my basketball teammates. I started training other athletes on campus, football guys, soccer players, different, just a whole bunch of different sports teams on campus, continuing to learn and educate myself of like how to go about, working out in order to perform better at sports. I did different internships in college. I got to work with a number of really high level professional athletes like Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. That was a ton of fun. And then by the time I finished my senior year of college, I knew that like I wanted to go into sports performance. The first job that I got out of college was doing personal training. So not working like specifically with athletes, working just kind of what we'd call like general population, like non-athletes, but still trying to like have that like athlete mindset and kind of working with in that way. But what I started noticing about myself is that even though I could perform really well, meaning I could lift a lot of weight, I could run fast, jump high, everything like that, my body was breaking down to the point where I would wake up
How
every
young
morning
were
and
you at that point?
I was 23 at this point. I couldn't stand up out of bed in the morning without the entire right side of my body tightening up from my foot all the way up to my neck. Like my body was in constant pain, constant tightness all day long. It didn't matter how much I stretched or rolled or massaged or whatever. My body just felt horrible the whole time. Not only that, but when I was 9, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And so I was noticing that in my early 20s, my control of my type 1 diabetes, even though I was exercising all the time, even though I was eating best and everything like that, my blood sugar levels were constantly all over the place. So I was kind of at this crossroads where I was like, okay, I know I'm supposed to be exercising, and my identity is tied to somebody who is like, strong and athletic and everything like that. But how I'm exercising isn't helping me in a lot of ways. It feels like it's making me worse. So I had a decision to make. Either I'm going to have to stop exercising and lose that identity of being, strong and athletic, or I need to keep exercising and, risk injuring myself, but I get to keep that identity. Well, I was so tied to that identity, I said, I'm just going to keep exercising and just kind of push through all the pain and tightness anyways. Fortunately, I had a couple interventions come my way before I had any kind of really major injury happen. One was this muscle activation techniques education course, and the other is the resistance training specialist education course. But both of these courses really taught me the importance of not only the importance of muscles for our health, for our mobility, for our overall well-being, but also like how to design exercise specific for our bodies. Because I always thought, well, a squat is a squat is a squat, a deadlift is a deadlift is a deadlift, right? but never really understanding how to like create an exercise for somebody's bodies. And so these courses really helped me understand that. And I started changing how I was exercising and changing my focus when I was exercising. Instead of thinking about like the weights going up and down, really focused on mind muscle connection and squeezing my muscles. And all of a sudden, all the symptoms I was feeling of like tightness and just, like I was about to injure myself, they started to go away. I'm like, okay, cool. This is like, I'm feeling myself getting stronger, but without all the negative repercussions I was experiencing before.
So
At that point,
what is this exercise that you're
so
doing?
it's still like regular exercise, but the focus of it is different. Instead of thinking, okay, I'm going to do a squat for like 10 reps or whatever, the courses that taught me about it is called Resistance Training Specialist, RTS, and then Muscle Activation Techniques, MAT. And so these courses really changed in my mind kind of like what exercise was supposed to be and how it was supposed to be done. But I was still having some issues like with sorry.
How were
At
they
that point I
different
realized, okay, cool.
from
Like
what you were doing? Like these courses, so because you were feeling like your
how
body
is
was
it?
breaking down, and then you
Yeah.
went and took these courses. So how are these trainings different than what you were already doing?
Yeah. So what I was doing before was, okay, like in your personal training certification, you learn, okay, when you do a squat, like your knees are, everybody's knees are supposed to bend this way, and everybody's hips are supposed to bend this way, and everybody's torso or trunk is supposed to be this way. And that is like the gold standard squat. And if you're not able to do the gold standard squat, then you need to keep matching yourself and contorting yourself to be able to try to do the gold standard squat. So it is all about like matching the person to some type of external gold standard. What these courses did is say, no, that gold standard is irrelevant. Instead, what you need to do is match the exercise to the person's body. How do their knees move? How do their hips move? How do their trunk move? And then challenge their body based on how their body is doing, how their body is designed, everything like that. So it
So
was
if
it
you
was a
can't do a full squat, then you can do like whatever your version of that squat.
exactly.
I
And
see.
so that really was the premise of like, oh, everything that I had learned about exercise was all about like trying to match these external standards, when in fact exercise is all about trying to match your internal standards, your internal function. And so from there, I started diving into the health aspect of exercise. I went into grad school and studied exercise science and really kind of the biochemistry and cellular biology of how exercise actually helps us become healthier. What's the role that exercise plays in chronic disease? What's the role that exercise plays in helping, our cardiovascular system get healthier? All the things that we hear that exercise should be doing, kind of learning the role that exercise actually plays in that. And so at the end of that graduate program, I had the kind of scientific backing and understanding of, all right, well, these are the things that happen within our body in order for exercise to make us be healthier, matched with the practical application that I learned through the MAT and RTS courses to say, okay, this is how you go about doing it. And from there, that's when I kind of married the two and said, okay, look, if you are wanting to, really help to prevent and reverse type 2 diabetes, prevent and reverse various forms of dementia, heart disease, insulin resistance, everything like that. These are the things that you need to be doing from an exercise perspective. And this is how you match your exercise to your body so you don't get injured along the way. And that's the business that my wife and I now run, is helping people do exactly that: exercise to improve their health in ways that feel good for their body so they don't get injured, they can continue to get stronger, and it stays convenient for their life.
And you mentioned something, a concept that's really important to me, that's mind-muscle connection. How would you explain mind-muscle connection to someone who maybe does train but has never heard of it? And how did it impact your performance or your recovery?
Yeah. So the cool thing about the mind muscle connection is that truly can amplify all the results that you're getting from your workouts. What I mean by that is when it comes to strength, when it comes to hypertrophy, when it comes to like building endurance, a large part of that is how much signal is being sent from your spinal cord and your central nervous system to your muscle cells. All right. The more signal you can get going from your central nervous system to your muscle cells, the faster all these biochemical processes will happen. That'll help your muscle cells grow. That'll help you produce more mitochondria. That will increase your strength. And one of the easiest ways to get more signal going to those muscles is to just focus on squeezing the muscles that you're trying to work while you're doing the exercise. So if you're doing a biceps curl and instead of thinking about the weights going up and down, instead put your mind right in your biceps, really focus on squeezing your biceps, and then have the entire purpose of that exercise to be just connecting with your biceps, challenging your biceps, feeling those muscles squeeze the entire time you're doing the exercise. It's not about the weight going up and down 10 times. It's about challenging and connecting with your muscles. And just that alone will allow you to get better results from your workouts because you're going to be getting more signal to those muscles. It's called having an internal focus of attention. Now, the beautiful thing about that, you asked about recovery, is it's like, like last night, my wife and I sat down, threw on a TV show, and we had a bowl of popcorn between us. Okay. Now, if you've ever had like a giant bowl of popcorn in front of you and you've zoned out watching the TV show, about 15 minutes in, you're going to look down and you're like, how did I just eat that entire bowl of popcorn? It's because you're distracting yourself with the TV show the entire time, right? Yeah, exactly. Okay. But imagine instead of distracting yourself with the TV show, that you are really focused on eating every single kernel of popcorn. You're probably going to eat way less. You're going to be like, know exactly when your body's satiated, be like, okay, yeah, I'm good. Like, I don't need, to do that anymore. Like, I'm good. I don't need to eat anymore tonight. Okay. So often when we go to work out, we distract ourselves with the music and the energy and the class and everything else. And we're distracting ourselves from what our body is telling us. Okay. And so we get to the end of our workout. We're like, what just happened? And why do I feel so lousy? Or maybe we don't, we wait until the next day. We're like, what just happened? And why do I feel so lousy? Instead, when you focus on squeezing your muscles, it's like being really mindful while you're eating that popcorn. You're going to know, okay, exactly when your body's telling you, you're good. You don't need to do another rep. Hey, you know what? You need to change how you're doing this exercise. You need to either slow it down or change the amount of motion that you're using, because this little like thing we're whispering to you about. If you keep blowing through this, if you keep trying to block it out, by the end of the workout, we're going to be screaming at you. Hey, you got to stop this. Okay, so you end up recovering from your workouts way faster, which is how the workout that you do today actually sets you up to come back and work out again tomorrow, because it primes your body to be like, okay, cool. Like, we just established mind muscle connection. We're getting better results, but we're recovering faster as well because your body isn't getting as broken down in the process.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing.
I wanted to ask you one other question, about this thing. So are you saying that when you're doing it doesn't matter how much weight you're lifting, but like just connecting with the fact that you're lifting something?
Yeah, exactly. So the weight,
so you don't, it's not like, oh, I have to lift like 50 pounds to get like
right,
that bicep of my dream, because I can do the same benefit for my muscle just with that 5 pound.
That's a great question. So weight is irrelevant. What matters is challenge, fatigue, and how long it takes you to get to a place of fatigue. All right. So for example, if you take a 20-pound dumbbell and you're not thinking about it at all, and you're just flinging it up there, you're going to be able to do the 20 pounds. Okay. But if you grab a 5-pound dumbbell and you really focus on squeezing your biceps as hard as you can the entire time you're doing it, it's going to feel way more challenging. It's your biceps are going to get way more fatigued. Okay. And so it's your body doesn't know the amount of weight that you're using. What it knows is how challenging it is for your tissues and how long you do that challenge for. So the name of the game is you want to be able to do an exercise that feels challenging, that takes it to a place where you get pretty darn fatigued, almost to a point of like momentary muscle failure, where you feel like you can't do another rep because it's so challenging, it's so fatiguing. And the weight, a lot of we usually try to say, oh, well, I need to use more weight in order to do that. You don't need to use more weight. If you use more focus, you can reduce the weight, which will actually reduce the stress on your joints, but you'll be able to get your muscles to that same super high level of fatigue.
Wow. Okay, so that this changes. I have to have people listen to you, because I know so many people who are just so tied to the amount of weight that they lift, and they usually come back with injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What kind of work do you do? So is somebody who gets injured and then they hire you, and then you tell them how to not get injured?
Yeah, great question. So I work predominantly with people that have joint or muscle-based issues. It can be muscle tightness. It can be like a specific thing like knee arthritis. It can be like a disc herniation. It can be something like plantar fasciitis. And these issues are either keeping them from exercising or making exercise really uncomfortable. And so I help them be able to exercise in ways that feel good for their body and that they're able to keep coming back to. So those are predominantly the things that I work with. Now it's not always like that. I do work with some high level athletes and people of that nature, but the majority of my practice is people who have joint or muscle based issues that are either keeping them from exercising or making exercise really uncomfortable.
One other thing that jumps at me about your work is that where you have also said that how to make exercise easier for you, and where it's not like a big job, where it doesn't feel like something that you have to take like this 3-hour chunk from your extremely busy day to go and work out and then stretch. It's like 3 hours. Like, who's gonna get those hours in our lifestyle, so how do you tell somebody, like somebody who's super busy in doing what they need to do for life or whatever, how can somebody without having fancy equipment in their basement, or like somebody like you, or to be the ability of hiring somebody as amazing as you to teach them every day, how can what are the simple things? Like, what would you say, like, what is the minimal thing that you should do?
Great. Okay. So I got 3 steps for you. Okay. Step number 1 is you first have to decide that you're going to exercise. Okay. The biggest thing that I think it holds people back from exercising is this indecision or this option around exercising. Okay. As soon as you make the decision that you're going to exercise, then you remove the possibility that you're not going to exercise. Okay. So now your only option is to exercise. So that's step 1. Okay. Decide that you're going to exercise. Okay. Step 2 is you need to start moving consistently throughout your day. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time. Every 60 to 90 minutes, stand on up, move around 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time. This is low-level physical activity. You're not breathing harder. You're not sweating. You're not feeling fatigued while you're doing it. You're just standing up and moving around, but you're doing it consistently throughout your day. All right. This is going to do 2 things for you. Number 1, it's going to start telling your brain that this getting up and moving around thing is important because you're doing it consistently throughout your day. And when your brain thinks something is important, it's going to start seeking out and it's going to start seeing more opportunities to do this. It's like when you look up a new car online and you're like, that's the car that I want. And you go drive to the dealership and you see like 7 of them on the way there. You're like, where are all these cars? It's like, no, you told your brain that thing's important. So it's going to start standing out to you. The same thing happens when you start getting up and moving around consistently. You are telling your brain that the thing is important, this getting up and moving around. So your brain is going to start seeking out and start seeing more opportunities to do that. The second thing that it's going to do for you is it's going to help to prevent and reverse insulin resistance. Okay. Insulin resistance is brought on by large chunks of time of being sedentary. Okay. So if you can break up your large bouts of being sedentary by getting up and moving consistently throughout your day, that will do wonders as far as preventing and reversing insulin resistance, which is a precursor condition to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, various forms of cancer, and various forms of dementia. So there's huge health aspect. Yeah, exactly. Just stand up, get up, and move around a little bit. All right. Multiple times throughout the day. Then once you start seeing and understanding that, oh, I do have that opportunity to get up and move consistently throughout your day, then you start expanding upon that with what we call little workouts. Okay. Little workouts take 15, 20, 25 minutes. Okay. And so what you're looking at doing, they're going to be a mix of resistance training or cardio, or, so sometimes both. They're going to work your entire body, but there are 3 musts that need to be included with your little workouts in order to get them done consistently. Must number 1 is they must be convenient. Okay. What this means is you can't be driving to a gym that's 30 minutes out of your way to do a 20-minute workout, drive 30 minutes back, and think that's going to be sustainable for the long term, because it's not. Okay. Your little workouts are quick, so they must be convenient. Number 2 is they must be planned. So you can't show up at the gym knowing you have 20 minutes to work out and spend the first 10 minutes trying to figure out what that thing is that you're going to do. Okay. You need to know exactly what it is you're going to do from the moment you arrive. So it's like, I got 20 minutes. I know exactly what I'm doing. Must number 3 is they must be focused. If you're working out at home and you hear, the laundry timer, the dryer ding, you can't be thinking, okay, during my next rest time, I'm going to start, folding laundry, because you can eat up 3, 5, 10 minutes of your workout time. Your workout time is going to be shot. All right. So they must be focused. Your little workouts must be planned. They must be convenient. They must be planned, and they must be focused. 15, 20, 25 minutes, cardio, resistance training, total body. Okay. Now, from there, then we can start to get into different specifics of what people should look at. I'm a huge proponent of people doing strength training, people doing resistance training. Okay. Again, this does not mean that you need to be maxing out using like as heavy of a weight as you can, but you do need to be challenging yourself. You do need to be going to a high degree that feels like a 7, 8, maybe 9 out of 10. Okay. From an exertion standpoint of like, I could maybe do 1 or 2 more reps. Like, okay. And if you want to go beyond that to the 10 out of 10 place, awesome. Just kind of work your way into it. But thinking about doing exercises for your upper body.
One question. I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you because I
No,
want
please do.
just to seek some clarity. What do you think is the total amount of exercise that I should do? How long should I do in a day? Number 1.
Yeah.
I
So
want to know
I'm
like
a
how
big
long I do. Would you recommend to somebody? Is it like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then break it down to 10 minutes? What do I do?
Great. So it depends on the results that you're wanting to get. From a strength training standpoint, I think if people can consistently do their strength training 20 to 30 minutes at a time, that is awesome. Okay. If you want to go upwards to 40 to 45 minutes, fantastic. I don't think there are too many people out there that really need to be pushing to like an hour of strength training or more. Okay. If you're looking 20 to 30 minutes, staying within that sweet spot, because you're going to be able to recover better and you're going to be able to do it more frequently and you're going to be able to stick with it longer term. And that's going to glean you better results. Now, from the standpoint of like, reducing inflammation and in your body, and from increasing your antioxidant production systems within your body, doing some kind of steady state cardio for 45 to 60 minutes, that seems to be kind of the minimum requirement that is necessary to get those effects. Now, I'm not saying that people need to be doing 45 to 60 minutes of cardio at a time, but if that is a result that they're interested in doing, then that appears to be the kind of minimum amount of cardio at one time that needs to be done, that 45 to 60 minute standpoint. That being said, if somebody's doing, again, like 15 to 30 minutes of cardio at a time, I think that's a really nice spot where people can be, they can return to it, and they can sustain it long term.
Do you have any suggestions or comments on like things like there was recently there was this thing about high intensity interval training, and then there was like just recently another a study which was in actually there was an article in New York Times about it where they said that when you go for a walk, you don't even have to do like a seriously brisk walk. One way to reduce inflammation is to just do like a nice leisurely kind of walk where you're trying to connect with the sounds around you and stuff like that. So
yeah, great question. Okay.
What's your experience been like regarding that? Like for instance, if I don't have 30 minutes, can I do 5-minute high intensity training thing?
Yeah. Short answer is yes. Yes, you can. The thing that needs to be kept in mind. So from a results perspective, both performance and health wise, here's the rule of thumb that I go by. The more muscles contract, the more frequently they contract, the more intensely they contract, and the longer they contract for, the more health results you're going to get and the better performance results you're going to get. So if you're doing something like high intensity interval training where you're getting a lot of muscles to contract really hard, then there's a great opportunity to get great health results and great performance results. But the caveat to that is as long as you are not creating muscle damage. As soon as muscle damage starts to happen, as soon as the exercise becomes inappropriate for your body, muscle damage creates more inflammation. Muscle damage dampens the function of insulin receptors. Muscle damage decreases the ability to build muscle. Muscle damage decreases the ability to build mitochondria, which are your energy producers, so you don't get as fit from doing the exercise. So if you're going to do something that's really super intense, you need to make sure that it is staying within the realm of not damaging your muscles and staying within the realm of being appropriate for your body. Because if you're like, hey, I got 10 minutes, so I'm going to go all out, but in going all out, you're like, I'm too sore to work out the next day or the day after that. I'd say just do something that's not all out, but do it for those 10 minutes and then be able to come back and do it again the next day. So that's the way I like to think about it. Now, from a walking perspective, if somebody's just starting off, again, standing up and moving and walking consistently throughout your day is awesome. But you need to understand is as soon as walking no longer becomes challenging, your body has no reason to change. Your body changes in response to challenge, okay? In terms of growing new blood vessels, in terms of improving the health and function of your brain, regrowing certain areas of your brain that have to do with memory and everything like that, okay? That is going to respond to challenge. Keeping your muscles as fit and as strong, that is a response to challenge. So if you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to go for the same, leisurely 15-minute walk that I always do, and it used to feel kind of difficult, but I only have 15 minutes, it no longer feels difficult anymore. It's like, okay, but you're doing something for 15 minutes, which is fine, but you still need to make sure that it's challenging, because if you're not challenging your body, then your body's not receiving any signal to change.
What do
So
you think about the 10,000 step thing? I mean, everybody's like,
here's why 10 yeah. So here's why 10,000 steps is important, and here's where everybody gets it wrong, okay? 10,000 steps is important because in order to get 10,000 steps, you're going to have to move consistently throughout your day. Where everybody gets it wrong is they count all the steps that they do during their workout, and they say, oh, well, I got, 5,000 steps during my workout, and I got 5,000 steps, during the rest of my day. It's like, no. The steps during your workout don't matter. They literally do not matter, okay? What matters from a tracking steps perspective is how much you're moving outside of your workout. Because what's important about that is, again, the prevention and reversal of insulin resistance. And that is a sedentary-based issue. And so if you go for a 60-minute run every single day, but you do it in the morning, but then you sit at breakfast, you sit on your way to work, you sit at work, you sit over lunch, you sit in the afternoon, you sit on your way home, you sit at dinner, and then after all that sitting, you sit down and watch some TV before lying down in bed. You have 60 minutes of activity followed by 23 hours of being sedentary. And it's a 23 hours of being sedentary, the consecutive hours, that's the big issue. So if you're going to go for your 60-minute run, great. Don't count those steps towards your 10,000. Use your step counters to count the number of steps that you do outside of your workout. That is the way to use your step counters, where it actually becomes effective.
And that's very interesting because we know that sedentary, like being sedentary, is a big issue worldwide, actually. And often people that have 9 to 5 maybe office jobs, maybe they are tired, they do not want to work out later. But what do you recommend to people that have, for example, 9 to 5 jobs that maybe are tired, or maybe they have a base of sedentarism? Maybe are there
Yeah.
some stretches that that they can make,
Mhm.
you know, being sit on the chair because maybe they cannot, you know, stand up on their jobs or whatever,
Sure.
so that they can preserve their health and start to
Mhm.
move actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So my first recommendation is, if you can, try to exercise before you go to work. Try to wake up, a little bit earlier in the morning and exercise then. This is going to do two things for you. One, it's going to make sure that your workouts get done, because you're not waiting till the end of your day when you're too tired to work out or too busy to work out. You're going to work out in the morning. Okay. Now, this can be a shift for a lot of people. It doesn't mean you have to be up at 5 or 5:30 or 6, but try to exercise earlier in your day, because then you're going to get it done. Number two is, by exercising earlier in the day, from a brain health perspective, you will now be able to, your workouts prime your brain to grow, prime your brain to improve its function. But you still have to challenge your brain. You still have to use your brain after that. So if you do the priming of the brain by exercising earlier in the morning, then you get the entire rest of your day to challenge and use your brain. And there you're going to get better brain boosting results. In fact, there's a very interesting study done not too far from here, where they introduced at a high school something called 0 hour PE, 0 hours of physical education, where the kids would actually come in before school and they would do their physical education class, and then they would go to the rest of their classes throughout their school day. And at the end of the semester, the kids who did 0 hour PE had noticeably better reading comprehension and test scores, like improvements of those, versus kids that would do their PE middle of the morning or in the afternoon. Because by priming your brain first thing in the morning and then using your brain the rest of the day, you get to take advantage of that priming. If you're exercising in the evening, number one, kudos to you for getting it done, but you're not going to get as much from a brain health benefit perspective, because you're not going to be tasking your brain with as much after you do the priming of it, which is exercise. Now, throughout the day, I would recommend set your phone timer. Set your phone timer to go off every 45 to 60 minutes. Okay. Now, if you can't stand up and like move, if you don't have a standing desk or whatever, at some point they have to let you go to the bathroom, right? So just stand up, and every hour, walk to the bathroom, refill your water, come back, sit back down. Okay. And then, you're drinking your water all throughout, but set your phone timer. That will interrupt you enough to be like, okay, cool. Yeah. Like I need to go and do that. Then use the fringes of your time, meaning when you first arrive at the office, park farther back in the parking lot, or walk a couple laps around your office building and then take the stairs instead of the elevator. When you get to your office, walk a couple lengths down and back in the hall. Before you go to lunch, walk a lap around your office and then go to lunch. When you get back from lunch, walk a lap around your office and then sit down again. So there are these transition times and there are these fringes where you can get a little bit of physical activity in, where it's not a 10-minute workout, but it's at 3 to 5 minutes that you're just moving consistently throughout your day.
That's awesome. One other thing. So what are your impression about yoga? And
Mhm.
do you recommend or teach any breathing exercises while exercising or before it, or totally unrelated? Does that work?
Great, great, great. So I think yoga can be very useful for a lot of people for a number of different reasons. The trap that I think people fall into with yoga is, when they really like yoga and they're really good at it, oftentimes that's the only thing they do. And just like we were saying, hey, your body responds to challenge. Okay. If you're all about, hey, like I'm just, yoga is my recovery, it's my relaxation time. It's, something where I can connect with my body and feel my body move. I can move through all different areas. That's awesome. But when we're talking about strength, when we're talking about brain function, we're talking about cardiovascular health, when we're talking about prevention of chronic disease and making sure that as you age, that you maintain your health and function, you have to do something that is more challenging. Okay. And challenging to the muscles. Certainly there are strength components to yoga, no doubt about that. But for the majority of people, we need something that's more than what the strength components of yoga provide. It's not to minimize that, but you have to understand that if you are wanting to maintain your strength, you truly have to challenge your strength. And so yoga can be part of your routine, but it should not be your whole routine. Okay. Breath work, I love doing breath work. It has made a huge impact in my life as far as I feel like I incorporate it into my meditation. And it allows me to connect. I feel like it allows me to connect with something that's bigger than myself. And so breath work has been really important for me in that regard. When I'm exercising, specifically when I'm doing my cardio, I try to incorporate a little bit where I try to only breathe through my nose for most of the time when I'm doing my cardio. But and so I think having like a breathwork practice that you can do, multiple times a week or daily or something like that, I think that allows for a really important connection into like to our bodies, to like just kind of experience our bodies in a different way. And then you can incorporate that into your workouts, whether it's cardio or resistance training, just like that really mindful aspect of controlling your breath while you're doing an exercise. I think there's huge benefit to that.
Charlie, thank you so much. I really learned a lot, and I think
Awesome.
that we need to meet more often just to remind ourselves of all
That would be
this.
so fun. Yeah.
If you have any questions, and I know that you have a podcast and you also do
Yes.
consultations. If you don't mind, please telling us where people
Yes.
can find you and they can seek your
You
consultation
bet.
if they're interested. And
You bet.
also, if you have a website and if you would like, you can give us later on also so that we can add it to our to the profiles. And thank you
For
so
sure.
much.
I'll be sure to do that.
Tell us that,
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
where can
This
we
was a really
find
fun
you?
conversation. Yeah, so I'm most active on Instagram. And it's my handle is just my first and last name at Charlie Cates, CharlieCates. All right, that's where you're going to find me most active. I'm very responsive to direct messages and everything like that. As far as being able to listen to our podcast, our website, get in with our virtual workouts and everything like that, you can go to www.exerciseforlifestudios, plural with an S, studios.com, exerciseforlifestudios.com. And that www does need to be there. Otherwise, you're going to go to an error page, and you can find everything there. You can find out about our podcast, our book, our virtual workouts, our library of on-demand workouts, everything like that. You can connect with us through there.
I saw that you have like a really detailed site. I was just going
Thank
through
you.
it. You have like a lifetime membership and a lot of
Yes.
gifts and goodies you add to your stuff. And it's amazing. You have a book also. Actually,
Yes.
I ordered my copy just before joining here. And one other thing I want to
Awesome.
know is, so your wife, she does similar training, or does
Mhm.
she do something different for women and
Yes.
stuff? I am also
No,
I also do pelvic rejuvenation for people
awesome.
and for women, especially. And as you hit the menopause or
Oh, that's great.
menopause, you have like a lot of stuff
Yeah,
happening in your pelvic area, and those need you have to be lifted out of your pause. That's what I say. Lift yourself out of your pauses. And
sure.
so I wanted to ask if she does that, or do you have like any set of exercises where somebody joins and they can say, oh yeah, these are like pelvic exercises for somebody who just.
Great question. Yeah, it's a great question. So we don't have anything that's like specifically pelvic floor, but that's a huge area. That's for sure. And so my wife does work predominantly with women, but her specialty is not necessarily like pelvic floor work. It's more kind of along the lines I was describing. Hey, I don't feel comfortable going to a gym, or I don't know what I should be doing to exercise without injuring myself. And so she helps guide them along those ways. Maybe they're having osteoporosis or different joint issues or things like that. She helps guide them through their exercise, but we don't have anything that's specifically pelvic floor.
I see. I see. So maybe in future, that is one of your wife's,
Yeah. Oh,
good.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure she's already doing it.
for sure.
Anyway,
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
that's it. And thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank
It's
you.
super amazing that you are doing such great work and exercise, despite it being the problem with exercise is that you have to do it.
Thank you so
So
much.
that
Yes,
is
I
why
appreciate you both. Thank you so much.
So we'll see you around again,
You bet.
hopefully,
You
whenever
bet.
let's get on the schedule again. And
That would be awesome.
I'll also tag you on my TikTok. And if we have any
Sounds great.
questions, then you just answer them. All right.
You bet. Thank you.
Take
I really
care,
appreciate
and
it. All
great
right.
talking to you. Bye
You
bye.
as well. Have a great
My
one.
pleasure,
Thank you.
Charlie. See you.
We'll see you.